Hello, everybody. As you are coming in, we are so excited that you are here with us in our Wealth Creator Workshop. Wherever you're coming in from, we just welcome you. We know there's a lot of places you could be on a Monday, and we know that we're just so grateful that you're here. The people, it's funny, every month we have different people coming in from all different walks of life, and there's some of our regulars that I'm so proud of, those of you that come every single month. And what we're realizing, every month we grow. Every month is a big event in our world, and we grow from big event to big event, right? And so I want to welcome those of you that are new for us, welcome our regulars. We are so happy to have you. And there's a lot that's been going on in our world in since I saw you last. And I'm going to give you some updates about what we're so excited about right now. Also updates on how there's going to be some changes. So if you are here in our workshop series, and this is maybe the second or third or fourth time you've been with us, you're going to notice some changes that we're really excited about. And also, if you're totally brand new for us, we want to know, all of us, where are we coming in from today? So if you can please put your name in the chat. If you haven't labeled yourself, make sure you're not iPhone 7. You make sure we know what your name is. Tell us, where are you zooming in from? Where you are in the country, in the states. What do you do for a living? How do you serve your community? We are huge about finding buddies in our community. So if you are new to the space of wealth building, the idea that you are a wealth creator in your own right, we have a lot of people in our community that are here to mentor you. And you just remember that you are never alone in the kingdom. So I want to just start out. I'm going to ask us all to enter into prayer together as we start this day. So, Heavenly Father, I just thank you, first of all, for these beautiful souls that have come into our community today, whether they are here for the 10th time or they've been with us the first time. We ask that you bless our time with your presence, Lord. We know that one of the reasons that we are all here is we are seeking your wisdom in our finances as we gather for the purposes really of learning, Lord. How can we better steward these resources? How can we better steward the money that's already been entrusted to us so that we can earn and multiply? And we thank you, Heavenly Father, and we love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So friends, I just want to start by sharing a little bit about why we are here. And I want a little class participation here. First of all, if you are here and you have your cameras on, I thank you in advance. Okay, I thank you in advance. If you don't have your cameras on, my friends, if you are not naked, if you are, not in a dangerous position, I just invite you to get those cameras on. I tell you, there is such energy that happens when I can see your beautiful faces. I'm going to be calling on a lot of you throughout the day. And it's so amazing when we can all see one another eye to eye. My mom used to call it eye smiling. Has anyone ever heard of that term before, eye smiling? My mom had it in spades. Don, I see you, sister. I know you're driving, so be safe. Make sure, as I said, as long as you're not naked and as long as it's safe for you to have the camera on, let's have the camera on. Let's fully participate, because I tell you what, I promise that I am going to be here for you 110% this week. I promise that every one of our amazing speakers that are coming in, that are sharing their genius with us, that are sharing their time with us, I promise that they are going to show up for you 110%. And I'm going to make you another promise, okay? This week is really about, I would say, two things that people come to our workshops for, okay? Who is here to raise their financial IQ? Let's just raise of hands for those of you that maybe think, okay, I could learn a thing or two about how money works, about how I can earn and multiply in my own world. Okay. Now, let's raise of hands for those of you that want to make more money. Raise of hands for those of you that are ready, really excited to learn about that earn and multiply part. Okay. How about who is here because they want to serve other people? They want to serve more. They want to be able to give more, right? Maybe they want to equip themselves. There was a really, really powerful statement that was made in our community last week that just landed with me in such a different way. We just got off a very, very big workshop called the Kingdom 818 Challenge last week. Was anyone there on the 818 Challenge last week? Okay. So in that challenge, we were invited to consider that God wants to do business with us. That's what we were created to do. God wants to partner with us. God wants the best for us. There is no recession in heaven. There's no layoffs in heaven. There's no living paycheck to paycheck in heaven. There is no scarcity mindset in heaven. There's no end to abundance in heaven, right? Now, some of you kind of come in, you're not, maybe you're new to Lisa, you're new to our community, you're like, who is this Jesus girl? I want to invite you, by the way, whatever you believe, my friends, whether it's the lens that I look at life through the lens of Jesus as my savior, or the lens that, you know what, I believe in something. I believe there's a higher power. I believe that there's a good plan for my life. And I also recognize that I might not be personally living up to that best plan for my life. I recognize that there's something I'm missing, right? We believe in our community that you are God's very best idea. We believe you are his masterpiece because it says so. In my favorite book, which I normally have right next to me, my daughter must have she was borrowing my Bible. I normally have my Bible right next to me. Isn't that a great idea that my daughter borrowed my Bible, by the way? For all of you that are mothers on this call or have a mama or know a mama, I hope you had a great Mother's Day. I want to share with you a little bit about one of the reasons we do what we do. Okay. So whether you are here because you want to raise your financial IQ, whether you are here because you want to earn more, you want to serve more. I will tell you the reason I am here is because God has called me to be here. He has been very clear. He's given me many downloads. He says, my daughter, you are equipping other women and the men that love us and the occasional man that pops in, like Mark, my new friend Mark. You are equipping others because too many of my kids are living below their means, are not earning what they should, are not earning and multiplying. And you are really good at that, Lisa, and you get to help others be good at that. Okay. I am here because I am doing what he's told me I get to do, which is bring more people to the love of Jesus. They get to know Jesus, who I know, the loving Jesus that has a good plan. I have a lot of friends in my community that have been very church hurt. I myself included. Any church hurt friends here that have maybe had some judgment passed on them, in the past. So I'm also here to make sure that as many people as we can know how much love, how they are so, so deeply loved. I was blessed to have a mama that I don't remember a time that I didn't know Jesus. I don't remember a time that my mom didn't talk about the good news with me. And I don't remember a time when my mom also didn't tell me, Lisa, you know what you can do with this knowledge? There's no end to what you can do by sharing it with others. So that's the main reason that we're here. Whatever reason you're here, friends, I promise you that you're gonna do a couple things in this week. And that is, by the way, if you make a decision to play full out with us, okay? If you make a decision to be here, be present, take action on what we're sharing with you. This community, by the way, I want to just applaud my leaders in this community, Donis and June and Jennifer. There's others that are just getting started with us, but these are some of our coaches that have been with us from the very beginning. Lorena, I see you. And I just want to give these ladies real kudos because they have built this with us. We've built it together. I might have the vision. These are my crazy girls that like get on a meeting with us and are like, okay, what's Lisa's idea now? How are we going to support this? Like, what can we do to be part of it? They are the magic behind my vision. So I just want to personally thank you, ladies. I love you so much, and I could not do it without you. And you know what's amazing about this? Women are so much better together. Women can accomplish so much. And I'm not leaving my boys out. I know there's a lot of there's some boys on our call. If you're watching the recording, um, imagine the power of powerful women in our world. Whether you are mothers, whether you are daughters, whether you know daughters or mothers or nieces, right? Imagine a world where women are locking arms together in really incredibly powerful ways. We can accomplish so much. And that this group is just a testament to that because it started out, I want to bring you back to a little cubicle, okay? It was a 18-story skyrise building in Irvine, California, which is where I live with my husband. And I had been working at my company at that point for 22 years. Okay. I was a top performer. I was an executive recruiter at one of the largest staffing companies in the nation. In fact, that's how I met Mark, who's on this call with us today. My husband and Mark have worked together for years. And Mark, you said it was interesting. You said, I've never been placed by Paul, but I've always known Paul. I knew he's a good guy. I knew he's doing good things. And it was funny how Mark and I connected because, in the recruiting world, people are in and out of work, right, Mark? They're especially what Mark does. He's a very successful, well-paid IT professional. He chose to hire himself a couple years ago, right, Mark? And be a consultant, right? And so in that world, I develop really meaningful relationships with these people. I walk with them in times of trial when they have been laid off and they're looking for something new. I walk with them in times of triumph when they are so excited about the last gig they just landed, right? And what I found in that journey is so many people were coming to me and they were asking Lisa, okay, I'm ready for the next project. I don't like this boss. My contract ended. I don't like what I'm doing. The commute is horrible. Any other California commuters around here? Was anyone ever so grateful for COVID when it came to commuting, right, in California? How we got to get off the freeways. But you know what? It's interesting. At some point, I started to see people coming to me and they said the same things over and over again. But what I was really hearing between the lines was that I wanted to be something new. I know that there's more for me. I just don't know what it is, right? And we believe in our community that 90% of people should be employees. We know, don't we? Don't we, friends? The entrepreneurial journey is not for the faint of heart. We know that, right? But we also believe that 100% of people should have more than one income, should have a way to create their own economy that is not reliant on a boss or an economy downturn or somebody that didn't like you, right? In a community. Anyone ever had a boss that maybe didn't like them so much and therefore made life a little tricky? Vicky, I see you. I know you've had this. And so, friends, wherever you're at, the reason, that we do what we do is we believe every family should have their own economy, be equipped, should be empowered and inspired to pick up the principles of entrepreneurship that this great, amazing country was based on. We used to be 90% entrepreneurs, and now we've all been trained. I'm curious how many parents on this call. We always get kind of a mixed. There's a lot of parents, maybe grandparents even on this call. Has anyone ever felt like I did, where they got to a place in their career and they just knew that they were meant for more? They knew that they were called to do something else, but just didn't know what, right? There's a lot of us. That's a big part of who attracts us. My mommy too. Yes. I agree with you, Vicky. My mother, it's interesting. You talk about your mom. Everyone, it's funny. Mother's Day is very sentimental to me because I did lose my mom about 5 years ago. My mom was my very best friend. She was my soul sister. She was my confidant. And I was just talking with June about this earlier that my daughter yesterday, I have a 16-year-old daughter, and she actually came to me in tears because she was missing Grammy. And we got to cry together about that. But you know what was amazing? What I just saw, how I saw God working in that was that my daughter knows mom because of how I talk about her. Even though she was only 11 when she died, right? We know what 11-year-olds like. We're very self-absorbed. We really don't think about much other than ourselves. But my daughter has continued to get to know my mom. And I would never, ever take my mom from where she's at, but I miss her so terribly. And what's cool about our community is June said, Lisa, I feel like I know your mom because of how you talk about her, and because who my mom is in me. Every one of us has our own personal story of where we came from. Now, many of you might be coming into this community and you might be thinking, Lisa, I have no business being at a workshop that talks about money. I'm not smart with money. I've made all the worst decisions about money that I could. I'm in debt up to my eyeballs. I don't know what your personal story is, but I believe you are here for a reason. There is something, whatever, tickled your fancy about opting into this challenge. You are here for a perfect reason, and it's just for you. And I will tell you, I have been broke. I have been a single mama with a 3-month-old and a 3-year-old, scared out of my mind, not knowing what I was going to do because my husband left when they were very, very little. I have been in debt up to my eyeballs. You'll hear about my debt story later this week. I have made really bad choices about money. Anyone out here, maybe you're a little too generous. Maybe you trust the wrong people sometimes. Anyone out here ever made a bad real estate investment or a crypto investment? There's all sorts of, I've done it all. Just say it. I have literally done it all. But you know what I've also done? I'm a student of money. I've been a student of money since I was that single mama because I knew, boy, if I was going to be responsible for these 2 kiddos, I better get smart about my finances because my husband took half of my retirement when he left. I was the primary breadwinner because I was doing well and I was able to equip him to start his own business. And you're going to get to know my ex-husband in this week too, because he's one of my best friends. Because I met him after, really Jesus gave me forgiveness for him as to what had happened. And so there's a lot that we talk about in our community also about forgiveness. Anyone have some grudges when it comes to money? Some things that maybe some limiting beliefs that we are mad at ourselves. We're mad at other people. We're mad at choices that we've made personally, right? I am telling you, when you find forgiveness in your heart, when it comes to your finances, it opens up so many other avenues to what God can do in your life. Okay. So we're going to have a lot of fun this week. We're going to be learning many, many ways. We're going to be raising our financial IQ together. we're going to be learning actually about one of the most exciting startup opportunities that I've ever been blessed to be part of. And I've been part of 3 startups in my career. I've recruited for probably 15 startups in my recruiting career. I've never been more excited about this startup. We're also going to be teaching you about our community, about the power of locking arms as women and men together in community, that you are not alone when it comes to building business. At least you don't have to be, right? I find as I was entering the world of entrepreneurship, which by the way, for me was not that long ago. It was only about 6 years ago that I went to my very first workshop, something similar to this. And it was after that I had 19 bosses in 23 years. If anyone ever thought they had a lot of bosses, okay? 19 bosses in 23 years. And do you want to know an interesting story? I just got a call from, you know how, does anyone pick up their phone, by the way, if they don't recognize who's calling? Nobody picks up their phone anymore, right? But if you recognize who's calling and you have time to talk, you know, I'm one that will pick up my phone if I'm not between, you know, if I'm not in a meeting or what have you, right? Well, it wasn't someone that I knew, but it was the place they were calling from. It was my former employer. It's one of the largest staffing companies in the nation. Mark knows them. They're called Kforce. Okay, so I got a call from Kforce, and I picked up because I was like, I still have investments there. Maybe they're calling me about, you know, who knows. And you know who it was? It was somebody that had just started with Kforce, and nice young man. He called and he said, Lisa, my name's John. I just started with this company and I just see your name everywhere. I see your name all throughout the database, on every client I come across, tons of candidates that I work with, and I see your name and I just like, I want to know who this is, right? And it's so interesting because that amazing company that I was at for a long time, and by the way, I met my husband at that company too. I owe a lot to that company. Um, do you know that there's nobody left that's been there more than a year? There's so much knowledge that's gone, right? And I think one of the big reasons that is because how they treat people. And that's what I was finding in my corporate world. Vicki and I had this conversation last week about the treatment of people. You know, there is a big move towards entrepreneurship and hiring ourselves, finding yourself at the crossroads in life. And that's where I was. And I tell you, that was not that long ago. But what's happened as a result of hiring myself and finding an industry, by the way, there's real purpose behind why we have focused in financial services. And I want to share this with you because it's important. As you are here this week with us, as you're playing full out, as you're taking action on what we're learning, I want you to be very clear. I am a businesswoman and I'm a very successful businesswoman, and I intend for all of you to be that. If you choose to, it is your choice. You know, there's a lot of professional meeting attenders in the world of entrepreneurship, right? Anyone ever been in that phase? I was for a while, right? And then there's people that are kind of the turtle wins the race. My Donis, she is like that turtle that wins the race, right? Because sometimes we get to marinate a little bit. We get to equip ourselves. We get to get some inner healing in our lives before we can be ready to take action, right? But I'll tell you what, the platform, the people that we've aligned ourselves with, in God's kingdom, we can expand time. We can multiply in the kingdom. And the financial services industry, my friends, is the highest paid industry in the world. My friend Sharon Lecter, many of you know Sharon. She is the co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. She is the reason, you know, credit card companies are no longer able to go on college campuses because she lobbied for them to stop preying on the college students, right? Ms. Sharon Lecter shares with us in her newest book that every one of us should have a copy of. And I don't know where all my books are. I don't know. My husband sometimes comes in and cleans my office, and he puts things where I don't know where they are. But she has a great new book. It's called How Money Works for Women. And she talks about in that book that by the year 2030, women are going to possess 2/3 of the wealth in our country. And so for me, that really tells me there is an awesome opportunity to serve, right? By equipping ourselves with this knowledge in this industry. There you go. Jen's got it. How Money Works for Women? Take control. I would so recommend, Donis, if you could find that link, honey, and put that in the chat. I'm telling you, if we never see you again, but you get this book and you apply it to your life, you will be better for it. In that book, she talks about this great wealth transfer that we're in the midst of. Okay, we're in the midst of what they're calling the largest wealth transfer in the history of mankind. Why does this matter to you? Why does it get to matter to you, my friends? Because we are especially equipping you to be very, very successful in this industry. Whatever way you choose to do that. Now, there's some people that are hiring themselves, I say, in our community as their own financial advisor. I had 2 financial advisors that I worked with prior to hiring myself. Both very nice people, don't get me wrong. They were both men. They pretty much told me the same things that everybody else was saying on the internet. They really didn't teach me anything new. And in fact, what I found was that as my knowledge grew, because I'm a lifelong learner, I am always seeking. There's always things that I want to know more about, and money is a big one. Okay. What I was finding is that I was starting to bring them ideas. And really good trick, friends, that I will tell you when you are working in your professional life and you're relying on somebody else's advice, if you start to feel like you're smarter than them, it's time for you to move on. It's time for you to get in a different room, right? So I found I was starting to bring these ideas to my advisors. They didn't know. One of them tried to mansplain me into saying that wasn't a good idea. I fired him straight away. Never try to mansplain a woman, in my opinion, if you really want to keep that woman's business, right? No, but my point is with this, I am a recruiter always. I always have my supply and demand hat on. Okay. Warren Buffett teaches that he has 2 rules with money. First rule with Warren Buffett teaches is never lose your money. The second rule is don't forget rule number 1. So that's, one of our tenets here. We teach people how to protect, earn, and multiply. One of the formulas that one of our mentors, Pedro Adeo, teaches us in the 100X community. We also follow the principles that Warren Buffett teaches. Don't lose. Don't forget rule number 1, the rule of compound interest. He teaches about something called the rule of 72. And I want you to write this down for yourself, is if this is a new concept for you. The rule of 72 is it's very simple. And I am telling you, if they started teaching this in school, and they didn't just teach it, but they showed kids how to do it, right? The rule of 72 was discovered by Einstein, someone way smarter than all of us, many years ago. And we consider it really the 8th wonder of the world. And what you do is you take the number 72 and you divide it by the interest rate that you're getting in that investment. And I challenge you all, this is one of your first pieces of homework, is look at your current portfolio that you have. And first of all, my friends, this is a space that is safe. You might be the first thought that well, Lisa, what portfolio are you talking about? I have a 401k. I don't know what's going on in there. Don't worry. It's okay. whatever you have. It might be your savings account. It might be your 401k. It might be an IRA. It might be a stock portfolio. That's your first assignment, is get really clear, my friends, about what your money is doing. Where is it going? Do you actually know how much you make each month? Do you know what's going out each month? There's an exercise we're going to have you do. Yep, I will repeat it in a second, Vicki. There's an exercise we're going to have you do this week where we really get clear about our budget. And the word budget, I don't really like the word budget personally. I like, I'm still noodling. There gets to be a different word. Anyone have ideas about budget? To me seems very restrictive. It's not abundant. It's, our spending plan. I don't know. We're still noodling on that. But one of the things that I want to share with you that Pedro, our leader, one of our leaders, really talks about is before we are trusted with his most precious asset, which is us, his people. This is especially, I'm talking especially to you coaches out there, maybe people in the service industry that, you really work with people day to day, right? You're serving people. How well are you stewarding your assets? The things that, we all have, your money. How well are you stewarding that? Because he's not going to trust you with his people if you're not doing well with what he's already been given. What do you have in hand, right? His most precious asset is us, right? And so I want you to really, make a decision. I invite you to make a decision to really make sure you're taking good care of what you have. And we're going to talk more about that this week, about how you can protect what you have, how you can grow and multiply what you have. But if that's a new idea for you, is God really going to entrust you with more if you don't know what's going on in your finances now, right? It's something to consider. I have a lot of women I work with, for example, that my husband and I do our finances separately. And so one question I have for them always is, okay, let me ask you, are you in partnership in your marriage? You might run your finances differently, but are you in partnership? Because I believe every marriage is a partnership of business as well as relationship. And let me ask you, if you were in business with someone, would you have an idea what they were doing in your financial business? Would you be in each other's finances? Absolutely, you would. At least if you wanted to run a successful business, you would. You would know about the other person's habits. You would know about their assets. You would know about what their spending is like, right? So I invite you, if you are running your households in two separate camps, take this opportunity to shift that slightly. Come at it from a different way, right? What about we actually truly partner? And by the way, everything that I tell you always, I'm speaking to myself too, because my husband and Paul are also very much in this same cycle of transition and growing and getting better together, right? So I always say, just like me, when I give any advice. I want to invite you to think about the idea, back to the rule of 72, Vicki, which again is you take the number 72 and you divide it by the interest rate that you're getting in that investment. And that's going to be how long it takes to double your money. Okay. Some people's accounts are going backwards. If you were in the market in 2022, you went down about 19% in your portfolio. 2008, we saw the biggest crash in our lifetime, almost a 40% reduction in the market at that time. Anyone else in the market in 2008? I lost about 300 grand out of my $1 million in 2008 that I had. Just like that. It seemed I didn't even want to open those statements. I was terrified, right? It took us like about 6 years to get back to what we had what we had lost. And you know that now we've been running in the longest running bull market in the history of our lifetime. Do you think there's possibly a change coming? So we're going to learn about that this week, how you can protect what you have, how you can make sure and really protect it. Because let's face it, in the world of financial services, there's kind of three phases of someone's life. It doesn't matter what advisor you talk to. It doesn't matter what portfolio you're part of. The process is the same. There's phase one. We are trading our time for money. Okay. We are our bodies at work. At some point, the goal, don't we agree, everyone? Maria, don't you agree? This is everybody's goal. At some point, their body gets to be working less, right? Their money's going to take over because they've saved, they've invested. They're not just relying on whatever the Social Security system is doing at that time, but they acknowledge that they have an active part in saving for that future so that at some point we don't have to work as much. Now, I personally believe in the kingdom, we never stop working because my calling is to share the good news with Jesus, right? But I also believe the way that we work changes. I don't intend to be working as much as I am now in 5 years, 10 years, right? But what I'm doing is I'm building a business with you and I'm equipping you so that you have a business that runs for itself because you're working with the hands of many. You're not doing it all, right? We teach a little bit in our community. There's so much we do teach. Obviously, there's only so much we can work on in 1 week, right? But I want to show you a slide. And if this is a new concept for you, I am telling you, if you embrace this concept, and then you ask yourself, do I want to be in business with God? Do I believe that partnering with God would enable me to expand exponentially? Do I believe that it makes sense to pick an industry where there's a need? That's the other Warren Buffett's second thing he talks about very commonly is, do what you love for a hobby. But if you're planning to create a business, make sure there's a need for it. And so raise of hands, anyone think there's a need for financial education, for teaching people about money, for helping people hire themselves, maybe not invest like everybody else is investing, right? Absolutely, there's a need. In fact, I want to tell you statistically, there are less than 400,000 licensed professionals in the entire US that are able to help people with their money legally. In the largest wealth transfer in the history of mankind. So we agree there's the largest demand ever on the planet, and yet the supply of people that can do it is super, super low. And of those 400,000, by the way, 50% of them are over 55 and they're looking for their exit, right? They're looking for a way to get out. So, we talk about in our community, there's really a need. The next generation, I would say this has to do with the next generation, but it also has to do with our baby boomer population. Many of us know this statistic, but women outlive men, right? Statistically, we all know that. And of those women that are going to be working with this wealth they've now been given, they want to work with other women. It's really true. They really do. They've been mansplained. They might have inherited a financial advisor or a coach or something from their father or their husband, and they want to speak with somebody that understands them, has the same philosophy they do, right? So there's a massive need for females in our industry as well. We believe the next generation, there's many surveys that have been done. The next generation doesn't really want a financial advisor. They want more of a life coach with like a side of financial planning and investment advice. Somebody that will help them with making, decisions, not making mistakes, help them with, procrastination, They want people that are wise about different types of investing. In our community, we talk about crypto, we talk about cash value life insurance in the form of be your own banker. We talked about real estate. We talk about all sorts of businesses. So we find that especially the next generation is seeking something different. So this community is all about that. Now, with respect to, I'm going to take you back to the rule of 72. We talked about how that applies to business, to finance. But you know where it also applies? It also applies to us as humans. There's a compounding effect when you learn as a community, when you grow as a community, when you are not alone in business. There's an incredible compound effect when you harness and our ability to leverage. One of my favorite words in the world of business development and money is leverage. The ability to leverage what other people have built. And this is really where our platform, our startup, gets me so excited. And let me share a little bit about that. Each of you, if you have come here from one of our guest speakers this week, each of you are going to be getting your own affiliate code with us, with the Better platform. The reason you may not have received it yet, if you came in through one of our partners and maybe you only gave us your first name or you didn't give us your phone number, there's 3 pieces of information we need to officially make you an affiliate. We need to have your first and last name, legal, by the way you want to get paid, because that's how quickly our affiliates get paid. We need your best phone number and your best email. So if you haven't already given us that, make sure if you could put that in the chat right now, because you're going to be getting your own affiliate code for our startup, A Better Life platform. And we're going to be talking about this week about how we are revolutionizing some of the biggest industries in our country and equipping others with ways to build businesses in this space, okay? Financial services is the umbrella that we choose to fall within. But in that, there's many elements, right? So one of the crises we're going to be tackling is the debt crisis. There is tremendous debt in our country. The devil loves debt. It is a great way to keep his kids, from what they're really meant to do. So we're tackling credit card debt. We're tackling the student loan debt crisis. We're going to be talking about that more tomorrow. We're also tackling the health insurance crisis. There is a major crisis in health insurance, especially in our high earning independent workers. I have a very personal example that I'll share with that, how I save personally $700 a month just by switching my strategy. We're going to be tackling the tax crisis. That is probably one of the most amazing ways that we can help others with knowledge. You picture a iceberg. You've all seen that analogy. A lot of times it's related to, do I have a slide? I'll show you if I do. A lot of times this slide is related to personal development. Like the work that you can do for yourself when it comes to what you can do above above the water line, but then all the work that happens below the water line, right? That's really where the work happens. The same thing with taxes. Most people are getting about 5% of the tax benefits, tax savings that they could do. But by simply learning our system, learning the tools that we give people, they can take advantage of the 95% that they're missing. Sometimes sharing with people how to build wealth is as simple as that. So, there's some people that are here because you've hired yourself as, I'm going to get more personal about my own finances. Now, some of you are also here because you want to add an income stream to your life. You want to serve others more in this space. So you're going to be served here as well. We're going to be teaching and equipping all of you. So be watching for your Better affiliate link. If you already are a Better affiliate, great, you're all set. But if you are new, to our community and you haven't given us those 3 pieces of information, please make sure you do, and you will be getting that. So I am going to now, I'm going to pass the baton, and I'm sorry, June, I got on a tangent. We went a little over, but one of my favorite things about what we do is that I've already shared, we have a beautiful, amazing team that all bring their own gifts and talents. And by the way, if you are new to us, we are looking for you to add to us. We are looking to share your genius with our community. I know what I know. I know what I don't know. And guess what? I'm really good at finding out who knows what I don't know. And I love to learn. I love to teach. I love to share the genius of other people. June is one of our community members, our students, our coaches. This woman, just the transformation I've seen in June, just since I've been blessed to get to know her, is so profound. And she's also a great example of how our community works, because I did not know June. But I met this other lovely woman, Donis, on a networking call, a couple of years ago. And she introduced me to June. And that's how community works. That's the really big part of what we do, is we teach others how to build a community, which I think is one of the biggest crises in our country right now, is the lack of community. So June, I'm going to have you share. June's got some great lessons right now. She's going to share with you because we are passionate about our next generation, about equipping our kids, our nieces, our nephews, our grandchildren to do better with their money, to hire themselves, right, June? So June's going to give a lesson about how to equip our kids. And June, I'm going to pass the baton to you, my dear. And
thank you.
We'll still try to wrap up on time today. The corporate girl in me does like to start and end on time, so we'll try and do that.
I'll do my best. So I want to start out by telling you that I was born into a financial services family. My dad was the CFO for a broker-dealer, so I grew up in the industry, and I followed in his path. Worked for him for a number of years, then went to work for Payne Weber and UBS. And I was never in sales, but I was always the supporting person, supporting trading desks and so forth. But what I became a mom overnight 22 years ago to 2 children, my niece and nephew, that needed a stable environment. And I really couldn't keep working that realm, but I also was very dissatisfied in the financial services, because of how the shortage that Lisa alluded to earlier. They have to have really high standards of which clients they're going to work with. So the companies I work with would only help you if you had $1 million or more cash sitting, waiting to be invested. Well, how many people do you know that have that situation? Me? Nobody. I don't know anyone that just has cash sitting around. So when my kids came along, I kind of needed to take plan B. And I decided to leave the industry. And when I heard about what Lisa and Donis were doing, it was something I knew before the presentation ended that I wanted to be a part of. So I knew I could complain about financial services, or I could put my energy into changing it. And last week I had a meeting with one of the ladies that joined our business. And she was looking to network with this woman, told this woman's assistant that was what the purpose of the meeting was. But we got to her office and she's like, "Where's your statements?" Like, that was her first question to us. And my friend said, "Well, I didn't bring them." And she's tried to talk. And the woman says, "I'm a busy lady. I don't have time to just waste my time talking all afternoon. If you don't have your statements, we need to end this meeting right now." Like, that was her entry into this. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not in this environment. And then she said, "Well, I'm not going to share my secrets and educate another professional." And what I want to tell you is this community is so different. There is abundance in our community, and we're not afraid that you're going to take my client from me, so I'm going to keep them a secret from you. We help each other here. we're a different environment. We want to change financial services. I hope I never have to go to another meeting like that. I never want to run a meeting like that. We walked out and said, she's not the person we want to partner with for sure. So I just want to welcome all of you to our community and just tell you we're different. And we love people that want to make things different and make things better. So I'll start there. Now, as a parent, I had a beautiful Mother's Day with my kids, and I'm also a grandmother. And I haven't gotten it all right as a parent, but we're learning together, and it's fun to watch my kids blossom. They're in their 20s now. And my daughter has a son. He's 3 years old. My son is in a relationship, and he and his girlfriend are talking about money, and I love that. So I want to introduce you to my presentation here. And it is, I'm gonna bring it up. The topic we're gonna talk about today is raising money smart kids. And why I chose this topic is because I've had a lot of fun. I've been creative in this space with my own children. And it's been really a good learning experience for myself. So my question to all of us, what is the money imprint we want to leave our children? So when I look back at my parents, I can hear very clearly in my head, my dad asking my mom to bring her checkbook because he was going to balance the checkbook. And all the kids in the house ran outside because we knew there was going to be a fight. And so money wasn't an easy thing, even though my dad was a CFO. But I decided I wanted to do things differently for my kids because I feel my dad was born on September 29th, 1929, which was the day of the start of the Depression. And so how many of us have come from parents from the Depression? So they've imparted a lot of money ideas in us from the Depression, and it gets passed on down generation after generation. And so what I'm going to challenge each of us is to look at our money, our own money mindset, and help to identify areas where we maybe have some limiting beliefs or things that are holding us back or things that help keep us in that scarcity mindset, so that when we work with the next generation, we're not passing on those limiting beliefs, basically. And so when you don't have to be a parent, you could be a grandparent, you could be an aunt or uncle, you could have neighborhood kids, you could be a teacher, and you have young people in your life. So it isn't just for parents, but what kind of relationship with money do you want these young people to have? What would COVID have been like if everyone had multiple streams of income? What would all of our lives be if we were smart about money and we weren't afraid to talk about it with our friends? What if it was really normal to get together with a group of people and read a book about money and talk about it? Like, those are things that I want to put forth into the world, and I welcome you all to do the same. So when we look at it, we want to make a financial literacy plan for our family. Waiting for our schools to do this is not going to happen. My daughter had learning disabilities, and she had to pass Algebra 2 to graduate. And I went to our IEP meeting, and I said, she's never going to use Algebra 2 in her life. I would really rather her have a personal finance class. Well, we don't have one. Well, could we make one? Could we find one? Nope, we don't have it. You'll have to do that on your own. So it is left to families for the most part. And that's something I would love to see change. I tried to offer, some help in that area, but the school district didn't feel like they had the capacity. So one of the ideas that I want to put out there is to start a business with your child. Bring your children into your business. There's tax advantages to doing that, and Lisa will probably cover that at some point. But giving them the idea that they have the power to create their own economy, that they can have control about their money, that they can learn, and they're not too young to start. So sometimes we think we got to wait till they're more mature to understand it. But I believe we need to start young and just do age appropriate things with them. But we also want to teach about setting financial goals for yourself and as your family. So as Lisa talked about this couple that kept their money separate, I see that as a powerful thing in some cases. I've had friends that didn't leave their broken marriage because they didn't have their own money. So I see the power of having it separate, but you also need to set goals as a family. So when you're making a legacy plan, what do you want for your children and grandchildren? So we're talking about estate planning. So that's kind of really dry material, but important. If you've ever been in a family when things weren't put in place and then the fights that follow, not because anyone's greedy, but everyone has different ideas. You want to make sure you have a will and trust in place. You want advanced directives for yourself. That was one of the gifts my mom gave me. She had 2 near-death experiences, and she asked me to be her medical person. So when she was going through her end stage, I didn't feel like I was making choices for her. I was implementing her choices. And that was such a gift. So I encourage each of you, if you don't have that in place, to also get that. That's a wonderful gift to give your family. Life insurance, protection first. Lisa will cover that, I'm sure, this week. Charitable giving. So when we make contributions to organizations, it gives a belief system challenge that is of abundance. So there's plenty for me, and I can give money away, and there's still plenty for me. And one of the things I did with my kids, I worked for Paine-Webber at the time, and they matched any contributions I made to a nonprofit. So I had my kids do a lemonade stand or return bottles and cans, and they came up with $25 each, and they went in search of a charity that they wanted to support. So my daughter picked animal shelter, my son did Special Olympics, and their $25 I matched. So that their 25 became 50, but then my company matched it. So each of their donation became $100. And that was like a huge, wonderful experience with them. But we volunteered at a animal shelter together. So take time to volunteer with your children, teach them how to serve others. And one of Lisa's beautiful sayings is be generous. We need to generate so we can be generous. And this is a wonderful lesson to teach our kids, and that there's enough for everybody. And then savings goals. So we want to do our own savings so that we don't have this limiting belief that there isn't enough. Emergency funds. Emergency funds are so important and often overlooked and put in the back burner. But that is one of the things that causes people to get into credit card debt, because their credit card is their emergency fund. So anyone that I'm helping with debt, I always have a strategy conversation with them about emergency fund. Teach your kids about this. Emergencies aren't really random. They happen. All of us have them. They're going to happen. We need to be prepared. Planning for retirement. So I've been talking to my kids about starting their retirement funds. I started when I was 18. Long-term care is something that's really important to think through. Who do you want to be your caregivers? Are you going to hire people? If you're a single person, or maybe your spouse is much older, you may need to plan on who your caregivers are going to be, and don't just leave it to chance. It's an important topic. I was blessed to be a caregiver for both my parents, and I'm really happy about that. But we also need to plan for our children and grandchildren, whether it comes to education, weddings, homes, starting a business, or even their retirement. And that is called creating generational wealth. So I'm going to challenge each of us to a little bit of homework. So we're going to do something that is identifying what your limiting beliefs are. What are your money stories? What drama or trauma have you had around money? And do you already know you have money trauma? All of us do. For some reason, we don't want to look at it. But it is related to our money, our bankrolls, our wealth, and our success. So we need to have a new mindset to get new results. So last week, Pedro said something that I think was really hit me. Heart wounds create blind spots. Looking at the past and what our parents passed down to us often are heart wounds around money, and they do create blind spots when we're planning our own money. So they are important to look at, not to, you know, belittle our parents or anything like that, but really because they are living within us and help making decisions for us that maybe get us a little sidetracked. So I'm going to speed this up. So you in your portal, you're going to have an exercise called past, present, and future. And I like this little saying, inhale the future and exhale the past. So we need to clean up some of that past belief system that we have, so that we can be present. We have, where are we today? What's serving us? What's not? Let's get rid of all that stuff that's not serving us. And what is lacking in our belief system that's preventing us from either taking that leap to hire ourselves or save for the next generation or even talk about money. Like, who has the belief system here that we don't talk about money? It's taboo, right? So there's real power in getting clear on what your own money story is before you pass that on unknowingly to your kids. How many of us say, oh, we can't afford that? What is that telling our kids? It's a tough one. So I know we're running late. Maybe Lisa, we can send these slides out, but at every age, there's age appropriate things that we can teach. So in grade school, it might be about setting them up with jars where they got savings, spending, and they get to decide what they want to do with that money. Maybe we find something to invest with them and have them track it for a while. And then surely I hope we can include giving. And there's some ideas here. In middle school, we're really helping them to get a better understanding of how money works, setting goals, having them work towards something that didn't just get given to them. And I think that's an important thing. And my kids were in middle school. I helped them start businesses, which I don't think we have time for today, but it was a fun experience. Anyone that wants to reach out to me, I'd be happy to share that. And then in teens, we need to help them get a job. Lisa's daughter is on that path right now. And how exciting is it for them? But then they have to deal with coworkers and bosses that aren't respectful. And there's so much to teach them about that. But they are at the age where you could give them a debit card and have them track their spending and become aware of their spending. And, some of the fun apps that it became, you can take a snapshot of this. Rooster Money, Adventure Capitalist, The Game of Life, Family Zoo, Verizon, Family Money, Bankaroo. And I found another one that is like training wheels and incorporates some financial literacy tools for families. So I'll work on that to share with the group maybe later in the week. But that's my fast version.
Oh my gosh, so fast and furious and so amazing. And June, before you share that real quick, come back, stop sharing for a minute. And I want to invite you all, remember this week, we only have so much time we can share. There is so much value and content in what this community has created and crafted together. June just did a whole hour for our community a couple of weeks ago on this very topic, and we got into a really lively discussion, didn't we, friends, about that. The purpose of this week is to give you a taste and see of some of the things that we do. Your homework tonight, okay? So June gave you one of them, and it is, if you are officially registered for the challenge, then you have access to this portal. If you're not registered, make sure you get registered. I think most everybody's here is registered. Diana, I got your message, and I did send you a message back in the chat, honey. I don't see you in the official registration, so just make sure you put your full name and your email and phone number so we can get you registered. But for those of you, maybe you're watching this on recording, tonight, your homework, two things. One, we want to invite you to go through that past, present, future work series simulation that June shared with us. It is in your portal. And there's also a worksheet that you're going to see in there that really talks about where is your, what area of the cash flow quadrant are you in? How many income streams do you have? Does it make sense to add an income stream that is not just relying on these two hands, but is system oriented, is leveraging what others have built, through our community here, as well as how we leverage the Better Life platform, which you're going to learn about more throughout the week. So friends, we're so happy you joined us today. Blessings in this amazing life journey. And June, why don't we bring up the wheel and we'll see who our lucky winner is today.
Okay, so we're gonna hit the spin. Hopefully they're still here.
Which one is it? Is it
Barbara.
Maria? Barbara! You're our lucky winner, Basha. I tell you what, Barbara, she is my buddy. Barbara and I met each other at a series called HCL. Does anyone ever? I know there's some HCL sisters on this call. Barbara was my buddy at the very first workshop that I did in the HCL series, and Barbara has continued to be with us. You would not believe how old this woman is. She is a lifelong learner. And Barb, it's so good to see you, honey. Congratulations on our being our Amazon gift card winner today. I'll make sure we get that to you. So everyone, take action, get your homework done tonight as you see it, and we will see you all tomorrow. Same time, same place. Bye, everybody.